Hey guys, Kurt from Time Machine Transport again. We got our part from Weller for our power steering gearbox. The total damages were $665 and like 41 cents or something like that, or 44 cents. But anyways, it was $665 after taxes. Like I said, Freightliner wanted for this unit, they wanted almost $1,500, and that was before taxes. So if you were to buy this from Freightliner, obviously you're probably about $1,575 probably with taxes. Now, we are fortunate enough to have a decent shop. I mean, it's a small shop, but it's well equipped. We probably spent about over $40,000 in tools, and that was with the big expensive welder and the big toolbox and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the toolbox, actually, what we have, I'm pretty proud of our toolbox for the money that we got it for. But anyways, this is probably a $15,000 toolbox from Snap-on. It's got the chrome wheels, it's got the stainless steel top, but we didn't pay 15 grand for it. Our Snap-on rep, Eric, which I thank all the time, he knew we were looking for a toolbox. The color wasn't what I wanted, but the price was definitely in. He couldn't sell us the box for 15 grand because one of his clients was going to prison and he owed 5 grand on the box. So they can't sell it for anything more than what they're owed on it. So we got a $15,000 box for 5 grand. So with that included, I mean, we're over $40,000 in tools. But we've been in this shop now, December of 2017. So about 2.5 years almost. 2 years and 5 months, whatever. So, but the point is, we have a few trucks, but we opted to do that because you got to have your trucks. You got to pay for your storage on your trucks. Your equipment is $150 a month per truck and trailer, even if you're not. So, we pay a really good deal on our shop. But anyways, the point of that is, even if you have one truck, get yourself a shop, get yourself a library of tools, because this being purchased from Freightliner and having a mechanic put in, if you don't know the ins and outs of things, like I said, I'm not a mechanic, but I've done a lot of research and I've done my own thing and I like to learn. So by finding this for $665 and not having to pay Freightliner $1,575, we just saved ourselves a shit ton of money. So I would recommend you get, like I said, a shop, even a small shop, and then get a library of tools. You don't have to get $40-some thousand in tools, but being that we've been here for about 2.5 years, all of our tools have already paid for themselves with the amount of work that I've done on trucks, and hiring a guy that has diesel mechanic experience but doesn't have a lot of tools. Those tools have already paid for themselves in 2.5 years. Probably within the first 1.5 years, those tools already paid for themselves. So I would recommend doing that. So anyways, back to the point of the video. So put the unit on, and these bolts were going in and out. So what I did was I took a vice grip and I clamped it close to the frame, and I put another vice grip on this side close to the frame. This one didn't matter because, like I said, that you can see the bolt right here, the red and black one right there. So what I did was, once I got the unit seated on the bolts and they weren't sliding in and out, I was able to put the washer and nut on here, take the impact and zip it and tighten it all the way down. So now the unit doesn't move at all. So now what I did was I took the small vice grip like I explained in the first video, and I'm just doing it in a reverse process. So I took a small, thinner vice grip. This one here is a thicker vice grip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with the thinner one, because like I said, you can't get behind the frame because there's a big plate behind there. You can't see what all the growiness back there. But anyways, you can only get a wrench. You only have like 3 inches to play in there. So it's really hard, and these bolts, they're not threaded through, so they come through the back side, and they're really you can't get it. Like I said, I tried to push the radiator forward, it just wasn't working. So I came up with this idea about putting the vice grip. I don't know if it's the best way to do it. I'm not ruining the threads by putting the vice grip on there, and I'm able to get it on pretty easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the reverse way of how I took it off. So to put it back on, obviously you can't see the bolt's not sliding in and out, so the vice grip is tight to the housing. I pulled the bolt out as far as I could, put the nut and the washer on there, clamped the vice grip on as close to the housing as I could get it. So now I have that little gap right here that I'm going to try to take my impact, and you don't have to give it a lot of force. Hoping I can get in here with that crookedness from my flat. All right, so I still got some play back there. I'm hoping I just need to bring it forward a little bit more. And I have the vice grip as close as here because obviously the washer is going to cover up the little bit of damaged threads I have. So let me see if I can put you guys down here. I don't know if you can see that, or it's really a bear if you don't have a tripod, I guess. But hey, how you doing? Hold on, guys.
Yes. I know you're on the phone now.
Yeah.
The owner of the building for this building.
Yes, sir.
Do you know who that is?
Yes, it's Chris next door, the lumber company.
Chris,
just
the
go in and
lumber
ask for
company.
Chris.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Very
You're
much.
welcome. Have a good day. So I'm just doing a YouTube video. That's why I'm doing this.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
All right, guys. Sorry about that. Guys inquiring about a shop that's for rent. So, anyways, so I'm gonna try to. I still have some play back here. I'm trying to get the bolt so I can get a little bit of meat more on here. So then once I take this, once I zip the nut and the washer tight to the vice grip, I can pop the vice grip out with just a chisel and a hammer just to kind of pop it down. So then I have enough thread or enough bolt on this side, so then I can take this vice grip and I can clamp it right on to the thread. And then I can take my channel locks. This vice grip will be removed. This one will be installed on the outside. Then I'll take my channel locks and I'll tighten this bolt down until I get all the way to the housing. And then I'm really trying to do it the best I can, holding the camera while I'm doing this. I'm going to try doing it one more time. There we go. And I still have a little bit of play, so I'm going to try to get as much threads on there as I can. And now, hopefully I don't look like a dumbass here. And my vice grip came right off. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see, let me see if I can adjust this real quick. I should have been more prepared before I did it, sorry. This is really a pain in the ass to try to do holding. I'm just trying to get you guys to see the gist of it. Anyways, you'll get the gist of it here. So I'm going to clamp this on here. Let me see. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Dang it. Anyways, it's going to be like that. And then I'm going to take my channel locks. Once I clamp this onto the threads, I'm going to take my channel locks and I'm going to tighten this bolt all the way up to the housing. And then obviously once I get a little bit more meat on the bolt, I will be able to move my vice grip and get a better grip on it. I just want to creep it towards, and the bolt's not hard, or the nut's not hard to turn. The threads aren't damaged at all. So I know like I said, I took it off with the channel locks. I can put it back on with the channel locks. And being that this one is tightened as hard as it can possibly go with the impact, and then by doing these two with the channel locks, I'm not worried about that thing coming off at all. So I'm going to be wrenching on it pretty good. So like I said, once you get it to that point, clamp that, channel locks right to the frame, and then all we got to do then is hook up this torque arm to it, which goes right there. Put your hoses in, reconnect your steering rod, your steering column rod. Now there are bleeding instructions for this. When you put a new unit on, there's going to be air in the system. So there are some directions with the remanufactured unit from Weller on how to get this air out. You don't want to be turning this thing and everything else. What you want to do is, I believe you're going to have, and I don't quote me on this, but this is your return. This right here, I'm sorry, is your return line. This line is your input line. So once you put that on, you're gonna, once you install this hose, you're gonna fill up your reservoir all the way to the top. Leave the cap off, and then do not connect your return line. Do not connect that to that. Do not connect it. And then you're going to turn your key on. You're going to turn the unit. Once the motor starts up, you're going to turn the unit all the way left and all the way right. Bottom it out on both sides. And then pay attention to your fluid level. You don't want this to be dry. And what's going to happen is when the oil's coming in, when it comes out of here, goes into the unit, it cycles through the unit, and then it's going to come back out to the return to go into the power steering pump to come back out, and that's fluid. It's just a big circle. So what's going to happen is when you fill this, the oil is going to push the fluid through the input all the way through the system, and it's going to force the air out. It's going to force the air out of here, which this line would go to. That's your return. So you're basically going to bleed all your air out of this hose. Once you start turning that and you check your fluid, make sure she's up to par, then you're going to see if there's oil pouring out of here. Once there's oil pouring out, you can go ahead and make sure that she's right at your cold or hot. It depends on how long the motor is running. If it's not running very long, then you go to your full on your cold. If it's hot, you're going to want to go on your hot full, okay? And then you're just going to reconnect your hose, and that's it. And what I'll do is I will do the ECM. They gave me great news today that it is back en route to Wisconsin from Texas, from the ECM 60 diesel. They did do a 24-hour to 48-hour turnaround. I was really surprised. I mailed the unit last Wednesday. They received it Friday afternoon. They sent me an email that said they did receive it, and then they said in their advertising 24 to 48 hours. So yesterday, actually today would have been the beginning of third day. So I emailed them this morning and say, hey, on your advertisement, you said that it was a 24 to 48 hour turnaround. A couple hours later, they emailed me, said your unit is back on its way. And we're gonna go ahead. Hopefully we'll get it tomorrow or Friday. Today is Wednesday, the 1st, May 1st. Hopefully we'll get it tomorrow or Friday so we can install it, do the final video. Once I do the final hookup on the video, I'm going to start up the whole truck. We're going to see if the knocking went away from the front. That's the reason why we're changing this, because we're getting that knocking and that moaning still, not from the power steering unit, but from this unit. Once I install the ECM, I can start the truck up. Excuse me. Excuse me. Once I get the ECM in, then I can start the truck up. I can go ahead and bleed the air out of this system, and then we're going to go ahead and you got to have the wheels up off the ground too, is what they say. When you bleed this, you have to have the wheels off the ground. So keep that in mind as well. And then once we get everything all done and everything, we're going to drop it back down, take it for a test ride, see if the moaning went away and the clunking noise in the front. And hopefully this video was informative. And subscribe and like if you would, please. And everybody be safe. Have a great day. Kurt out. Ciao.